Hello. In the last two videos, I spoke about the first 6 Yoga Sutras, which set out what we're doing, and ended with Yoga Sutra number 6, which lists the 5 types of movements of the mind. Now, as you might expect, the next 5 sutras go into each of these movements of the mind, and they tell you what they are. The first one is pramana, right knowledge. So this image is an image of obviously a microscope on top of a book, which happens to be the Bible, but it could be a dictionary or any book. The Sanskrit is pratyaksha numanagama brahmanani. And the translation is direct perception, inference, and the reliable testimony of others, whether those others are spiritual sources or secular sources, constitute the sources of right knowledge. Often that last one is translated as spiritual books, which is why there's a Bible, but really it's any reliable source. The dictionary is a good source for the meaning of words, for example. So that's pretty straightforward. Right knowledge comes from direct perception, inference, or the reliable testimony of others. That's the definition of right knowledge. You see it, it's something that is reliably inferred from the information at hand, or from some completely trustworthy source, you get that information. All right, the next one is wrong knowledge, viparyaya. So here's the image. It's a classic image for wrong knowledge, which is mistaking a snake for a rope or a rope for a snake. So I tried to make it a little, hard to tell whether it was a snake or a rope. So viparyaya is the word for wrong knowledge, and the Sanskrit is viparyayo mitya jnanam atadrupa pratishtam. Wrong knowledge occurs when the perception of something is not based on its true form. Pretty straightforward. You perceive something, but you've got it wrong. That's not what it is. Okay, and then the next one, fantasy or imagination, is one could wonder why that is considered a movement of the, why that gets its own place. The definition of fantasy is actually really fascinating. So vikalpa is the word for fantasy or imagination, and the Sanskrit is shabdajnananupati vastashunyo vikalpa. So imagination or fantasy is a movement that's based on an image created by words without actual substance. It's something that is created by words alone. That's shabda. And so you can say a red-winged horse, but and then you will see in your mind an image of a red-winged horse, but that doesn't mean there is a thing such as a red-winged horse. It's something that exists only by virtue of the words that create it. So that is fantasy. The next movement of the mind is sleep. And sleep would seem to be a peculiar movement of the mind. It's we're not talking about dreams. That I suppose would come under, well, that could come under any of a number of categories, but we're talking about deep, dreamless state. The state of non-being is really what we're talking about. And nidra is sleep. So abhava pratyaya lambana vrittir nidra. Sleep is that movement of the mind that has as its substratum or basis the understanding of non-existence. Basically that means sleep is the movement of mind where there's the sense of not being. All right, and then the last movement of the mind is memory, which is literally described as the non-stealing. Memory is smriti, So there we go. This is a picture. Oh, did I describe that? So this is, I didn't describe this picture. This one's pretty straightforward. There's a, the red-winged horse right there. This has all that activity around it. And then the black, it's hard to see here, but it's very, very dull. It's a dull black in the painting. So it's just that non-being. And then for memory, those are pictures of my son's first baby shoes. So smriti is memory, anubhuta vishaya sampramosha smriti. So memory is not allowing an object that has been experienced to escape. So it's not allowing anything that's been experienced, not allowing an experience or an object. Literally, it means the non-stealing of. Smriti is not allowing anything to get out of there. So holding onto it so tight that it can't even be stolen from you. Yeah, obviously it can be an idea, not just a thing. Those are the 5 types of the movements of the mind. As I said in a previous video, you can argue with whether or not you think all of the movements of the mind fall under that category. And again, each of those movements can be painful or not painful. But it is interesting to go through a day and watch your thoughts. And it's an interesting way of actually getting yourself to watch your thoughts, to see, so what is this movement of mind? Is it right knowledge? Is it wrong knowledge? Is it fantasy? Painful, not painful? Sleep, obviously, you're not so much in the position to talk about, but it works surprisingly well and is an interesting tool for watching the mind. All right, the next few sutras are extremely important ones. Now that we've talked about what yoga is, and it's about stilling the movements of the mind, and we've talked about the movements of the mind, and we've defined what they are, we go back to sutra number 2, how do you do this? These are the movements of the mind. How do you still the movements of the mind? And the answer, as we will find out, is through practice and non-attachment. And that we will go through in the next few sutras. Talk to you soon. Bye.